Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Wednesday. It is August the 5th. We're here to look at the harder side of crime fiction being published this week, the darker side. It's the thrillers, it's the psychological stuff, it's the professional side, it's the police, it's this private eyes. This is the non-fluffy side. Hi, Mary. Happy Wednesday, PK and everyone. I'm back. I had a wonderful time in Michigan. I was going to ask. An adventurous trip home. Uh-oh. AKA flat tire on the Ohio Turnpike. Oh, baby. But here safely and glad to be home with the girls. And I bet the girls were so happy they missed their mama. Well, I'm glad you're back too. But hopefully you had a good trip. And we will just ignore the trauma on the way back. All right, let us jump into the other side. These are all published this week. A Stranger in Corfu by Alex Preston. On the Greek island of Vidos, the past lingers like salt in the air. The inhabitants, former members of MI6, are sent here to be forgotten, exiled, either too damaged or too compromised to be allowed to live freely. Well, F you. All right, we're feeling salty too. For years, residents make the best of their fate. Old enemies reconcile, long-lost friends swim together in the warm sea, and estranged lovers share a bed once more. But secrets bind tightly, and when one of their own washes up dead, alliances fracture, and a tide of suspicion begins to rise. That actually sounds kind of good for maybe Spy versus Spy. Oh, my light. All right. So hopefully, Mary, for the rest of the week, you just get to relax and cuddle with your babies. Donna Andrews has a new one. Did we already look at this one? Yes, we did. We looked at this one on Monday. It's on 2 lists. Lisa Gardner has a new one. You'll be sorry. For Raquel and Theo Collins, it appears to be love at first sight. Raquel, a renowned interior designer, and Theo, a brash financial wizard, met and married in a matter of months, only to confront a terrible tragedy. Now, unbearably aware of the distance between them, they've come to a remote town in New Hampshire to begin anew. Perched on a ledge with stunning views, the Dixons family lodge was once a crown jewel of the mountains, until late one August night when both parents and their 4 children vanished, leaving behind a trail of bloody footprints and a mystery that has endured for 30 years. Now its latest occupants, the Collinses, are arriving, and the former Grand Lodge is once more stirring to life. For Amanda Grady, following in her father's footsteps as the recently appointed Sherford police chief, it's good to see a fresh start for the derelict Dixon place. However, not everyone is happy about a new family in the old home, and its hidden past may have returned with a vengeance. When a stray dog leads to the discovery of a skeleton on the property, Raquel and Theo face a daunting choice of what to believe, who to trust, and how to survive. Because in the tiny village of Sherford, the time has come. The local residents, the new neighbors, and the fledgling police chief must work together to unravel terrifying events that happened one night 30 years ago, or you'll be sorry. Title card. Mary says, volunteered at the Friends of the Library bookstore yesterday. Ooh, started a new book, Michael Connelly book set on Catalina. Police procedurals so far good. Yes, Michael Connelly, police procedurals. He's good at it. Is that a Harry one? Harry the character. Time to Burn by Ellery Lloyd. Mercurial tech entrepreneur Inigo Frank has perfected commercial time travel, though it's a tightly regulated and so expensive that it's open only to the very wealthiest. Of course. And it would be. His company, Tempest Tours, has so far been approached for just one route, a journey back to London in 1941 to the days of the Blitz, allowing the super-rich to experience the awesome sights and sounds of the aerial bombardment of the capital during World War II. Yeah, because that's really a nice touristy kind of thing to do. It's a slick operation. Routes across the wartime city are meticulously plotted, guides are extensively trained, and rules for the time tourists are strictly enforced. To immortalize his achievement, Frank enlists award-winning filmmaker Phoebe Hunt to create a fly-on-the-wall documentary. On her first day shadowing Inigo, she is set to witness the return of a billionaire property developer and his family from their trip to the past. But instead of their awe-filled return, she captures the group, arriving bloodied and traumatized with one of their number missing. Not only that, but Phoebe recognizes the missing woman and knows not only that she's not who she claims to be, but that she has every reason to harbor a grudge against her. And as events begin to unravel in the present day, it seems increasingly clear that she had sinister motives for returning to the past, and that people close to Phoebe are in danger. Phoebe must race to untangle the truth before past and future are rewritten. I love time travel books, but seriously, you're going to do a time travel tourism and your first trip is to World War II? I don't think so. End of that road. Hi, Amy. I'm here, but not up in Missouri. Oh, honey. Mary says, no, it's a fairly new police character. Oh, Stillwell is his name. Gotcha. I'm behind. Mary says, hi, Amy. Amy says, I also had a tire blowout on the highway. Oh, huh. So now I have a new car. Well, look at that. I think I am stunned that I have a new one which is different color to what I'm used to. I had my previous car for 23 years. It lived a good long life. Gave you good service. Well, I'm glad you both are safe. Holy moly. That is scary. The Women in White by Sarah Pekkanen. Extrasensory perception, the gift, a sixth sense, or something else. In 1964, four remarkable young women at a prestigious university become the subjects of parapsychology experiments by a visionary scientist. On the cusp of a historic breakthrough, the women mysteriously vanished, and the program was erased from history. Oops. Decades later, Riley Bell, newly divorced and desperate for a fresh start, accepts a caretaker job for an elderly widow named Betty. Riley steps into a home that is frozen in another era. No microwave, television, or cell phones, and Betty has never heard of the internet. Why has Betty lived in such profound isolation for so many years, and why does she need Riley now? As the story unfolds across two timelines, Betty's 1960s era of 5 o'clock martinis and high-stakes experiments, and Riley's quest to uncover the truth about the missing women. Old secrets rise to the surface, and the only way to survive is to confront the mystery that has lingered for 60 years. Amy says, yes, I'm glad that we are both safe. Oof. Mary says, if a tire goes flat thanks to sharp road debris, does that mean I can get a new car too? Yes, you can. I've been thinking of it. You. Amy says, and good morning, PK and Mary. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. One of the Family by Mark Edwards. Sorry, my mouth is very dry. A Week in Paradise with the Family from Hell. When Patrick is invited by his girlfriend to join her and her family, is that the family from hell? On a luxury holiday in a remote and beautiful part of Scotland, he has no idea that he is about to be plunged into a nightmare of a family, sinister behavior, and a plot to murder the patriarch's younger fiancée. Arriving at the house, Patrick meets Holly's dad, self-made millionaire Charles, along with her brother Louis and older sister Miranda. Also on the trip is the widowed Charles's bride-to-be Jasmine, who, in her 30s, is around the same age as the three siblings. Louis and Miranda are horrified by their dad's impending marriage to this younger woman. Surely she is just after his money and is going to steal their inheritance from them. To make things worse, Jasmine is an almost exact doppelganger of their mother before she got sick and died. Patrick finds himself in the middle of this viper's nest trying to keep out of the family crosshairs. I'm just a visitor. He starts to suspect that Lewis has dark plans for Jasmine, putting himself in peril as a potential witness who could mess up his scheme. Perhaps more than one person won't escape this family of snakes. ... Well, they're in-laws. They're called in-laws for a reason. The Amateur by Chris Bojalian. 1978. It is the first Thursday in August. That would be tomorrow. And temperatures are flirting with 90 when Mira Winston, 18 years old, drives a golf ball from her tee toward the practice net near the clubhouse and caddy shack. The golf ball, weighing 1.6 ounces, tears through the net, traveling 150 miles per hour, and slams with sickening force into the temple of a high school junior named Kenny Foster, rupturing an artery and unleashing a torrent of blood. Kenny brings his hand to the side of his head, then topples onto his side. He's dead before the ambulance even arrives. In the wake of this terrible accident, and everyone at first agrees it was an accident, Mira looks for comfort in all the wrong places. In her lover, Theo Cato, a married man 3 decades her senior. In her mother, a well-kept woman with secrets of her own. In the dead caddy's little sisters, girls bewildered by grief. But when the investigators look more closely at the torn net, when a detective recalls Mira's history of recklessness, and when Kenny's father spies Mira with her married lover, the affluent and mannered community turns on this once promising young woman. A gripping story that takes the reader from the sun-soaked greens of a Tony Westchester country club to the fluorescent lit stand of a county courtroom. The Amateur asks what happens when one small moment, a swing, a ball, a piece of string, changes the course of an entire life. That's actually kind of different. Not going to read it, but it's different. Oh my goodness, George Pelecanos has a new one. I think it's been a while. It's been a minute since he's published. Or I'm remembering wrong. This doesn't say what book in the series, but this is a recurring character, Derek Strange. The Blue Flame. He was curious. It was the cop in him. The flame was still alive. The neon strange investigation sign may be flickering in disrepair outside his office, but private investigator Derek Strange is still accepting new cases. When a flashy drug lawyer hires him to prove an alibi for an accused murderer, Strange can't help getting drawn into the darkness. In his hunt for answers, he stands his ground against some of Washington, D.C.'s most dangerous criminals and a police department that doesn't entirely welcome his interference. As the violence escalates and claims another victim, the raised stakes force George to question his own moves. Are his instincts still intact? And for those who are familiar with the author's name, George Pelecanos, he was a writer for The Wire and Treme, both on HBO. But he has also written crime fiction set in DC, usually. The Unknown by Riley Sager. In 1926, 5 women disappeared from a remote island in Vermont. Now, 100 years later, it's happening again. Struggling actress Maren Keene is shocked when she lands a role in a major motion picture about the unsolved mystery of New Avalon. In 1926, it wasn't really major motion pictures. Well, an island of sprawling Lake Faraday in Vermont. She's even more surprised when she learns that the role requires a week-long research trip to that very spot. Because New Avalon isn't your ordinary island. A century ago, it was a commune for spiritual mediums. Oh, this is present day. Okay, I get it. When a century ago, it was a commune for spiritual mediums until they all vanished in 1926. Are we having like deja vu here? The only trace of them was 5 dresses hanging from the branches of an old oak tree in the middle of the island, one for each missing woman. Some locals say they simply left. Naked? Others think they were murdered, but the prevailing opinion, thanks to a diary left behind by one of the vanished, a young woman named Daisy Rue, is that a seance gone wrong conjured something supernatural that took them all one by one. Not long after arriving, Marin and her castmates, including legendary actress Violet Wright and white-hot director Ronan Peters, begin to realize all is not right with New Avalon. They hear strange noises in the night. See, I be gone. And notice mysterious symbols left behind by the island's previous occupants. And after a sudden health emergency leaves Marin, Ronan, and the other actors stranded on the island, the disappearances begin again. Is it the work of someone trying to derail the movie, or is the island's alleged supernatural past catching up with the present? As fear and suspicion mount, Marin turns to Daisy's diary, hoping it holds the key to figuring out what really happened to the women of New Avalon and how to keep the island's terrible history from repeating itself. Amy says, a raining morning here in Virginia. Oh, nice. She says, hooray. I hear we got about 2 inches while I was away, so we have finally gotten some rain. More is needed, but thankful for anything we get. Oh, no kidding. A rainy day. Murder at the End of the World by Akane Araki, translated by Jesse Kirkwood. This is from Japan. But, as it says, a meteor is on a collision course with Earth. The entire human race has 3 months to live. Uncontrollable panic has set in across the globe, but 23-year-old Haru is still determined to finally get her driver's license. When Haru and her ex-cop driving instructor Isagawa open their car trunk one day to find the corpse of a murder victim inside, they feel duty-bound to investigate. Together they set off on a road trip through the crumbling landscape around them to hunt for a killer. As more bodies start appearing, more questions surge. Why would a serial killer begin work 3 months before the end of the world? Because then it's over. And does justice lose its meaning with humanity on the brink of extinction? Now, this is very reminiscent of another book which I highly recommend. It's a trilogy, but starts with The Last Policeman by Ben H. Winters. Fabulous, fabulous story. But that one was a new one. The Lie by Jude Berman. Cybersecurity whiz Jed finds himself held captive, strapped to the ground in a dark tunnel without food or water. June's campaign website has been hacked, and she is viciously attacked by protesters. Dara flashes back to the terror of life under the dictatorship in the States, when her mother was deported. Ugh. Just when this group of friends thought they had defeated their enemies, they're faced with not one, but multiple immediate threats. Rumors and accusations are flying, and the future of the democratic nation of California is at stake. Can they figure out who is telling the truth and who is lying before it's too late? I bet it was written by a Gen Z person. Plant Lady by Kang Min-young, translated by Shanna Tan. Tucked away in the corner of a neighborhood in Dosan, South Korea, is the plant shop. Shop owner Yuhi has started anew, and her meticulously grown foliage thrives under her tender care. To both her customers and herself, Plant Shop is a refuge where petunias and marigolds bloom, and the air itself is like an elixir of peace. By day, Yuhi dispenses advice on gardening, but she also finds herself offering a special service off the clock. Women who are at their wits' end come to her about a man they hope might disappear from their lives. Pulling extra hours is taxing, but Yuhi has encountered and dealt with these kinds of men in her own life, men who treated her and her beloved plants with utter disrespect. So as night falls, Yuhi trades her apron for a shovel and a hoe and disappears into her moonlit garden. There she buries not just the remains of the day, but also the bloody remnants of a few unfortunate encounters. As men begin to disappear, will anyone ever suspect the Plant Lady? Oh my. End of that row. We're running out of time. We gotta keep moving. Killing Sadie Excuse me. This is perfect for the fans of How to Survive Your Murder and Dead Girls Can't Tell Secrets, it says. Here's what we do know. There was a party at Trevor's house last night, and things went horribly wrong. By the end of the night, there were 2 dead bodies in an upstairs bedroom, 17-year-old Sadie Cooper and her killer, Mason McDonald. The murder was heartbreakingly witnessed by Sadie's twin sister, Jane, and Sadie died in her arms. Mason was killed by Sadie's boyfriend, Ben, in an attempt to save Sadie. Aside from figuring out Mason's motive, it should be an open and shut case. But it's not. The story unfolds just after the murders, and Ben and Sadie's best friend Liz are telling the cops what transpired at the party and the events leading up to it. But little details don't match, and those little details start to add up to big discrepancies. But who's lying and why? Murder at University Park by Cheryl Miller de la Sega. A brilliant young professor, a powerful advisor with everything to lose, a university campus hiding deadly secrets. It's 1998. Dr. Lacey Red is on the verge of tenure and under the thumb of her department chair, the arrogant and celebrated Dr. Jeffrey Hart. When Lacey begins to suspect Hart of falsifying his research, she quietly teams up with a tech-savvy colleague to uncover the truth. But before they can break the case, her partner turns up dead in the campus library. As Lacey digs deeper, she uncovers something even darker. Hart has been preying on female graduate students for years. When he attacks her at a department party, Lacey fights back, leaving him injured and exposed. A new department head steps in, and with Hart out of the picture, it seems justice has finally been served. But someone on campus is still watching, and they've decided Lacey knows too much. Last one. Clean Slate by Brianna Lebusky. First in the Olive Hunt series. Oh, she's a crime scene cleaner. That's cool. Death pays well for Olive Hunt, a crime scene cleaner who channels her childhood traumas into erasing the suffering of others. After nearly 10 years, she's seen it all. Nothing rattles her anymore. Until now. 2 back-to-back suicides, a seedy motel, an upscaled Atlanta hotel. No connection, except that Olive discovers the same strange item at each scene. Then a 3rd body drops. Olive knows what the police refuse to see. These aren't suicides, they're murders staged to perfection. Then the roses arrive, a vase of blood-red blooms on her doorstep, an anonymous note. Thank you. She's found him, a serial killer who's been leaving breadcrumbs only she can see. A killer who's been cleaning up his work, knowing she'll clean up after him. A killer who wants her to follow. And follow she must, no matter how terrifying the trail becomes. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So for me, the first and the last ones are kind of interesting. And that is it for today. Mary says, haven't heard of many of these authors. Nice to have some new names. At least as far as I know. Good to see some familiar ones too. Indeed. Amy says, yes, Rain is good. I agree. Rain will help us here too. And I may have to rewatch this to add the books to my TBR list. You betcha. That's what it's here for. All right. So we'll be here Friday to look at the rest of the Cozy Mysteries. I don't have any sprints tonight. Our next sprints are tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Amy says, have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll back at you, baby. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day. Stay safe. Please, please, please stay safe. Read books you want to read. And as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom, nom, nom. Have a good day. God bless.